We are still in a pandemic and the holidays are here. Welcome back. I am Nina Rodriguez. Thank you so much for joining me. And this is my channel, Miss Fit to Teach, where I talk about all things teaching and how to stay mentally, physically, and emotionally fit to teach. So if I haven't met you already, please consider doing me the honor of hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you and I can come together every week. This is always a very interesting time in our school system. Of course, being with inner city students, we have cultures and activities and people and personalities and different energies and vibes that just run the gamut here in our community. So these are always really exciting times. And one of the things I do to keep my kids engaged during this time of the year, especially when they're getting really antsy for winter break and they want to have time to celebrate and hang out, is I like to change the atmosphere in my classroom. So I enjoy having different decorations up, and I try to change those out seasonally so that there's something different. There's a different aesthetic to enjoy with whatever each season is bringing. So even if you're not a really decorative person, you're just not a person who can really get into the festivity and the hoorah of whatever holidays are happening, I would suggest try changing out your motif, or try changing out your decorations seasonally, or at least as often as you can, so that there's a different aesthetic going on in your classroom. It makes it so that there's always something new and visually appealing to look forward to. On the academic side, the second 9 weeks is always a really pivotal part of our school year, because that's where the bulk of intensive learning and connection making happens. So we want to, I'm an English teacher for those of you who don't know. So in the second 9 weeks, we want to really be talking about the structure of things like essays and making sure that their writing, the students' writing, is strong and on point, that they can convey an idea with ease and with fluidity, and are able to articulate thoughts in their head and manifest those to their paper or to their laptop. Writing is so important and such a highly relevant skill in our way of life, and I don't think a lot of times it gets enough credit. But we are working right now on essay topics, how those topics relate to their life, and where they stand on those topics. So again, it's about relevancy and keeping the material relevant to your students' lives is what is going to get the best responses from them. Have to copy our 3 reasons that we came up with together as a class. You can definitely make this your own, and I actually encourage you to do more of this by yourself as we move through the flow of your thesis statements and your essays. But for right now, if you can't think of anything else, use these reasons, this rationale, as the basis for your thesis statement. Then we're going to plug it into our thesis statement template that we talked about weeks ago, the formula for a winning thesis statement, okay? And that's going to be right here. I want you to write the same thing on your paper using strong words, okay? Strong vocabulary. Make sure it's in third person point of view. And if you need some help choosing words with strength, let me know. All right, the transition is over, and right now we're in 4th period, which is thankfully my planning period. It's nice to have it in the middle of the day because I have just the first half of my classes right at the beginning of the day, then this breaking point where I can breathe and catch up and just be quiet for a little bit, and then I get into the second half of the day and finish out my classes. It's not ideal, and I think no planning period really is, but as I've been teaching 8th grade and getting used to how we do things at this grade level, I like the middle of the class or the middle of the school day planning period, because it's that time to regroup. If something didn't work really well in my first lessons in that first half of the day, I get to reflect on it and readjust it in order to do better in the second half of the day. Also, it is lunchtime for me, and I really like being able to eat by myself and again just be quiet for a little while. And I just, as a teacher, I don't find that my time is well spent eating with the students. For me personally, I'd rather just be like up walking the room, monitoring, or sitting at my desk cleaning emails or whatever else. So for me, this time by myself is really, really useful to enjoy my lunch. And I try to always make it something that I can look forward to. It really breaks my heart when I hear other educators kind of coming in and going through the motions of the day, and they grab out their little lunch boxes from the faculty lounge and they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna eat my cheese sandwich and grade some papers. Oh, I didn't have time to pack, so I have like a peanut butter and jelly again. And and I don't understand it. It's like, why? Who are you helping by not taking care of yourself first? That just kind of never really made sense to me. So I always try to make it something, and I'm not going to eat in front of you because that would be rude, but I do try to make my lunch something that I can look forward to. So today it is a grilled tuna salad with spring mix and a lemon butter topping, and then I have those really nice sauces from the sausage kit company. My family and I, we really love the seasonal sausage kits, and we buy a whole bunch of them. And so I've got leftovers of the honey pineapple mustard, and so I'm going to enjoy that with my salad. But again, teaching is very, very difficult. And if you have nothing else to look forward to in your day, you really should be able to look forward to what you're eating. And so I think that it's time well spent to figure out your menu as far in advance as possible, maybe like on Sunday or just in advance. Think about the kind of food you're craving, that you want to eat, that is nutritionally dense, that's going to do well with your body, and then plan your meals around that. Pack your meals, and you have something that you're going to enjoy, that is good for you, and that's going to sustain you through the rest of the day. That's cold water in there. I already finished my coffee. But one of the dieting strategies that I use, and it just works really well for me, and the science behind it is all documented, is intermittent fasting. I've enjoyed and I never used to do it before, but I've incorporated intermittent fasting as a regular component of my eating strategy. And I'm really surprised by how good I feel with using intermittent fasting. And I'll post a video from a content creator that I follow who is very knowledgeable on the subject. But apart from the fact that your body is actually, generally speaking, programmed to handle that sort of thing, I just have really loved not having to occupy my time in the morning when I'm super busy with having to pack like 3 meals or 2 meals or whatever plus snacks for the day and take it in a big lunchbox. It's been really cool over the last few weeks that I've been fasting, that I can just maybe pack 1 meal and stick it in my computer bag, or just don't take a meal with me at all. Just take like my mug and have some water or coffee and just go. Just grab my computer bag and go. There's been something very freeing about employing intermittent fasting into my life. And so I do it now about 4 to 5 times a week. And I'll post a later video talking all about teachers and intermittent fasting. If that's something that works for you, mention it in the comments. Like, as a teacher, what strategies do you use to get your meals in throughout the day? What are you eating? As a way of making the kids kind of have a stake in their learning, I like to post the completed works, whatever the assignment or project is that we're working on. I like to post and kind of show off some of the completed works of students who are comfortable sharing their assignments. So some of them wrote some really incredible poems, and they were comfortable with me either like posting them in the 8th grade hall or just posting them here in the classroom. So I'm going to do that, and it's a really nice way of like celebrating your students, and again giving them a stake in their own work, so that they have that added effort and they know that they actually are good with the content, that they are capable of understanding it, and they really can produce something that is worth showing off. So I like to post their work throughout the year. My room, as you can tell on the walls, it's getting pretty full, and it's only like the end of November right now, but it's getting pretty full with some of the stuff that they've completed that I'm posting around the room. And then by the end of the year, the walls will just be crammed. I'll probably have to, in fact, take some stuff down. But yeah, that's all that's going on right now. So last few minutes of 4th period, and then we will continue with the day. I really enjoy the different dynamic, the different personality that each of my class periods takes on. And I think that's what's so wonderful about teaching, is that it is a very it is very much a very organic profession, where each one of your students and then the collective personality of your classroom, it changes and it grows, and you can not manipulate it, but influence it over time as you become a master teacher. And I love that part of the experience, the part that each student contributes with their personality and their talents and their humor. All of those things weave into the fabric of our classroom, and it makes it truly a very interesting experiment in what it is to be human and human behavior. So that's really it for today. Going to wrap up as I finish up my planning period and think about finishing out the second half of the day. I will display my students' work just as a way of celebrating them and celebrating their efforts in what assignments we're doing, so that it's an incentive for them to continue doing well and to know that their efforts are appreciated, that their hard work doesn't go unnoticed. And it's also a really great way to manage behaviors. When kids feel valued and intellectually safe, they'll try harder for you, and they will want to use their creativity. They'll want to demonstrate mastery. So in terms of managing behavior, which I will be posting more about in a later video, celebrating your students' work is a really great way to hone in that relationship and to get them to behave in a way that's more conducive to your classroom. If you have any other ideas for upcoming videos or questions that you would like me to answer in a video, please share those in the comments, because I love hearing from you. But as for today, I'm feeling good. I've eaten really well. I am keeping the topics relevant by relating our topics of our material back to the lives of my students and having them express themselves based in their own life experience. And it's just continuous positive reinforcement, so that we get in front of any negative behaviors, especially as we approach the holidays and they're getting really antsy. But once again, thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Be well.